Stacy Clutter, and today we're here to talk about a book, The Anatomy of Prison Life by Mr. Charles Hinsley. Mr. Hinsley, thank you so much.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you. We're really excited about this book and just want to ask you a few questions about it.
Okay.
So most people have flirted with the idea of writing a book. What was your reasoning for writing this particular book?
A few years ago, I read a book by a gentleman who was a state trooper at one time. He was a prosecuting attorney, and he became a defense attorney. And in this book, he chronicled what happens when he arrested people as a state trooper, what happens when he was a prosecutor and how he put people in prison, and then also as a defense attorney, what he does and try to keep people from going to prison. And he talked in general about the criminal justice system within this book. And I thought it was a well-written book, but he didn't talk about the aspect in which I was familiar with. What happens to those individuals once they get in prison? Mm-hmm. And it was my belief that I could try to pick up from where he left off and write about that aspect that he did not. And it was because of that element of his book that was missing, I thought. I wanted to try to share some perspectives about what really happens inside of prison.
Right. Well, as you know, there's hundreds of books about prison, the criminal justice system. How is your book different than those books?
Okay. I think most people get their perspectives about prisons from either a family member that might have went to prison, mm-hmm. a friend that they may know, or even watching some of the popularized TV crime shows. But my book talks from factual experiences. It gives accounts of real life, day-to-day interactions of the men and women who work in prison, the men and women who are actually incarcerated and in custody in prison. And it's that perspective from, I think, a unique perspective as an administrator that makes my book a little bit unique than most other prison books.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you hope the reader can take away from the book?
I would hope that they can come away with a much better or greater understanding of the complex dynamics involved in managing our prisons in this country. Mm-hmm. There is a lot more to it than just putting someone in prison, letting them do their time, and then waiting for them to come out and get back into the community. It's much more involved in that. Mm-hmm. And so I hope the reader gets a much better and greater appreciation for how that works. And then hopefully have some motivation to get involved mm-hmm. with those of us who are out here in the field trying to change that system, because many of us believe it's broken in many aspects of it, and we want to try to mend those broken areas so it can be an improved system. Prisons aren't going away. They're here to stay. So we want to try to do what we can to at least make it a much better system.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like a very interesting book. What would you say is the most interesting chapter for the reader?
You know, I won't be biased in saying that. I think the reader will find the entire book very interesting. Mm-hmm. But if I had to select one chapter, I would select chapter 14. Mm-hmm. Chapter 14 talks about the death penalty, and it talks about my involvement in the execution process. And I select that chapter because the death penalty is a highly debated topic in our country. Mm-hmm. It's a very politicized topic. And even countries around the world struggle with this issue of the death penalty, mm-hmm. whether we should have it or whether we should not have it. And my perspectives on that, I think, adds a uniqueness to it that someone may not necessarily perceive. Mm-hmm. And so I think it would make for an excellent chapter to read, mm-hmm. And probably the most interesting one.
Well, we definitely need to get the word out about it. Are you going to be taking a speaking tour on the road, or how can people get in contact with you if they want more information?
Well, right now I don't have a speaking tour set up. Mm-hmm. I do plan to have something of that sort in the future. But the best way to learn more about the book is just to go to my website, www.theanatomyofprisonlife, the title of the book, .com. And there you can learn more about the book as well as about myself.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Mr. Hinsley.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you. And once again, Mr. Charles Hinsley's book, The Anatomy of Prison Life. And you can pick it up at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble's bookstore, or any other worldwide bookstore. Thank you.